We are exactly a month into the government shutdown. The Capitol is empty. The Senate is gone for the weekend. And this weekend, some of the worst impacts of the government shutdown are about to hit. One in particular, SNAP food assistance will pause this weekend in about 49 states across the country. So what does that mean? It means that Americans who rely on SNAP, 42 million across the country, will not get benefits deposited into their SNAP accounts starting November 1st. They won't get anything deposited into what are called their EBT cards. These are often some of the most vulnerable Americans, and we've talked to a number of them now in our reporting, and they say they don't know what to do. One mom in Michigan told me she's going to have to rely on water while her children eat, and she forgoes meals. Food banks across the country are already preparing for a surge. I've talked to organizers who say they are treating this food emergency like the early days of the pandemic. That's the level of demand and need that they are seeing. Now, there is this ongoing federal lawsuit about SNAP. The Department of Agriculture has an emergency fund, and there are about more than 24 Democratic-led states that have sued to force the USDA to use that emergency fund to cover SNAP, at least for the month of November, during the shutdown. The USDA says it doesn't legally believe it's allowed to use those funds to cover SNAP because those funds are set aside for things like hurricanes and other natural disasters. A federal judge ruled Friday that the administration must use those emergency dollars to cover SNAP. We expect this battle to continue to play out in court. Even if those emergency dollars, by the way, are suddenly unfrozen and used for SNAP, they wouldn't cover half of the need of SNAP across the country just for the month of November. So the reality here is, going into this weekend, there are Americans, again, 42 million across the country, who will start to see their critical food assistance dry up. And the longer this government shutdown goes on, the worse the impacts will be. Democrats up here on Capitol Hill have said that they're holding out for an extension of Obamacare tax credits that are set to expire at the end of the year. But this weekend, open enrollment begins for Obamacare, and some 20 million Americans will start to see their premiums skyrocket. Republicans have said they're not going to negotiate on that issue while the government is shut down. So it means the impacts of the shutdown continue, and the biggest impact so far is SNAP.